Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to pick up and knit stitches along an edge that has a slipped stitch edge. So we created this little piece in our last video, so if you want to learn how to make a slipped stitch edge, go back and watch that video. But this will show you how to use this slip stitch edge, and now we can pick up and knit stitches on this edge and start knitting in a different direction. And this is handy on some Afghan patterns, sometimes on sweaters if this is the sweater and you want to pick up stitches along the front of a cardigan and then attach a button band and add buttonholes and buttons. So I'm going to show you how I do this, and I'm going to use a contrasting color of yarn. Typically I would use the same color yarn as my knitted piece, but for the sake of this demo I'm going to use a different color so you can really see what we're doing. So when you're going to pick up stitches along an edge, you're just going to go through and just pick up stitches. You would just go through and pick up, I would pick up like the bumps from every row. That's picking up stitches. But we want to pick up and knit stitches. So we're actually knitting a row to attach to the old piece of knitting. So what we're going to do is we're going to use these slipped stitches. So we're going to go in underneath every single V, every single slipped stitch, and you'll see that there's a little hole, real nice little hole at the bottom of each one of these slip stitches. And when we go into the stitch, we're going to make sure there's two threads, two yarns, both edges of the V will be on top of my needle as we go. So let's get started. You would typically add stitches, pick up and knit stitches with the front of your fabric facing you. So this is a garter stitch piece, so you could really use either side, but if you're using a stockinette piece of fabric, you would want to make sure the knitted side, the pretty side, is facing you. So you're going to go in underneath the very first slipped stitch. You're going to make sure you have both legs of the V, and it's inside that little hole. And now I'm going to take my yarn, my contrast yarn, but again you can use whatever color your piece is, and you're going to slip a loop over it, and you're going to put a little tension on it just like you would when you knit, and we're going to slowly bring the tip of the needle back through the hole it was sitting in and pull that loop through the knitting. So now I'm going to hold the little tail in my left hand, and the thread that goes back to the ball of yarn, I'm going to start knitting stitches onto this needle. I'm going to go underneath the next slipped stitch. I'm going to go around and wrap it just like you would if you were knitting, and then you slowly pull the loop through. Then we go on to the next hole, bring the yarn around, slowly pull it through, go into the next slipped stitch. I make sure I have my two yarns on top, and I bring the yarn through, go into the next hole, bring my yarn around, pull it through, pull it through, pull it through. We'll do two more. Last one. So I've just now picked up and knitted a stitch through all the slip stitches that were on that edge. You can see all the little slipped stitches lining up here. And now since I'm doing a garter stitch here, I'm going to go ahead and do, I think just for funsies so you'll see the difference, I'm going to do stockinette stitch on this pink part. So that was a knit row, so my next row is going to be purl. I could also continue to put a slip stitch along the new edge that I'm creating. So I'm going to slip the first stitch purlwise, then I'm going to go ahead and knit, or go ahead and purl all the stitches back. You can just as easily knit these stitches back. It doesn't really make any difference depending on whatever pattern you're following. Turn my work, and I'm going to knit this row because I'm doing stockinette, which is knit one row, purl one row. And I'm slipping the first stitch of every row because I want a nice edge. So this time when I do my first stitch as a slip stitch, I'm going to go into the stitch this time as if to knit with my yarn in back and pull the stitch off. Then I'm going to continue knitting. This slip stitch is just a little bit different because when I did this piece I was knitting every row. When I am working on this stockinette section, I'm knitting one row, purling one row. So I have to do my slipped stitch edge just a little bit different in order to get the nice edge. I'm ready to do a purl, so I'm going to go into the stitch as if to purl, pull it off, and then continue purling. So as you can see here, you can see where I have attached the new knitting to the old piece, and now I'm starting to knit in a different direction. Now I'm knitting this way rather than continuing that way when this blue piece was knit. I'm going in a completely different direction. But that's how you pick up stitches along a slipped stitch edge and continue knitting. I hope this video has helped you. Please give me your comments below in the section of comments. If you have any suggestions for future videos, I do appreciate your comments. Let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks again for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.